Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hey guys, how you guys doing today? It's your girl Betty and I'm back with another one for you guys. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that has occurred in my life about 2 times so far, and it deals with my oldest son, Hunter. I don't know if this is something that occurs to a lot of people. I don't know if people have had the same experiences that I've had, but I wanted to raise an awareness about it and to share my experience with everything that happened related to what I'm about to talk about. We'll backtrack a little bit. My son Hunter in January of 2019 had gotten really sick. He had gotten a cold, and the cold manifested into a fever. I just remember one day waking up and he was still sick. He was turning really red in the face, and his ears and cheeks was really red, and I took his temperature and it read 102, and he was still active, he was still playing. You would have never thought that he really had a fever, except for like the runny nose, the congestion, the coughs and stuff like that. On that day when his father came home, he wasn't really feeling too well. That's when symptoms started showing more. I had ended up putting on pajamas on him, so it was his shirt and his pants and his socks. His father told me to put socks on him. Little did we know that, I mean, growing up, you think that, or like we thought that you're supposed to sweat out a fever. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know where that logic came from or how that came about, but we ended up dressing him up so that he can go to bed. And so what I remember is his father coming to lay him down in here in our bedroom on the bed, and he, at some point, Hunter ended up covering himself, and mind you, he still has a fever. I would say about 10 minutes later, my husband turned down the heat and something clicked within him, because he just got up. I don't know what it was, but he just got up, walked into the bedroom to check on Hunter, and Hunter was convulsing and he was shaking and he was foaming at the mouth and his eyes was turned backwards. So my husband yelled out for me to call 911, and I called 911. They came, and basically Hunter had a seizure. And his seizure didn't last for that long. It lasted about 3 to 4 minutes, and they came and took him to the ambulance, and that was our first time finding out about febrile seizures. Febrile seizures are basically seizures that are caused by a high fever within children. It can happen to children between the ages of 6 months to like 5 years. Mostly common between children between the ages of 1 and 2. Happen up until like 5 years. So seizures usually happen like between the first few hours of the fever. They only last for just a few minutes. Basically, they can last for up to like 15 minutes. When I didn't see him, my husband saw him, and my husband and I was crying, and I was calling on God for help. I was calling on my mom for help, because you know my mom passed away, and it was a very scary experience that we had to go through to see that, you know, to see your own child having a seizure. Fast forward to today, a day before Hunter's birthday, he had gotten a cold again and he was sick. He had gotten another fever. And we did the proper precautions. We let him cool down. We gave him a cold bath, because you can't do ice baths anymore. We took him to the emergency room the night before, which was that Sunday the 10th, and he was okay. Like, they took his fever and it was only reading like a 99 or something like that, and they was like, oh, it's not that bad, he seems good. It doesn't look like he has an infection, follow up with your pediatrician. So we was like, okay, so everything seems fine. That night, Hunter wasn't like, he didn't have that much clothes on. He only had a shirt on. It was really cold in my apartment, even with the heat turned all, oh, actually there was no heat because our thermostat wasn't working, so we had to wait for our landlord to come fix it, and so we had to use a space heater. And that night he had caught a fever, and I woke up and he was red, like so red. So I got him up. I said, come on, Hunter, we gotta go take a shower and you gotta take your medicine. And so I gave him a bath, and I you know, he threw up all over me, threw up on the floor. And I gave him a bath, and then it was just around 3 o'clock in the morning. So I stayed up with him from 3 up until 7 because I said I'm taking him to the pediatrician. I'm taking both of them to the pediatrician because my younger son was also sick. Said I was gonna take them to the pediatrician. I got them dressed, and literally as I'm getting Hunter dressed, he throws up again. It's bile, like he's throwing up so much all over the floor. And so I'm like, I can't leave this like this. I have the cats, I cleaned up, and then we're on our way to the pediatrician. My kid's pediatrician allows walk-ins, so I walked in, signed, and I had Hunter sitting right next to me, and he was like, Mommy, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. I was like, okay, Hunty, just lay down, we're about to see the doctor. And so I have Jason the stroller, he's laying next to me like this, and all of a sudden it's like I'm holding his hand, and then I let go for like a little bit, I don't know for what. I'm looking around and I just feel shaking in my chair, and I look over and he's convulsing again, and he's shaking. When I tell you, it's like the first time it happened, I didn't see it. It was just his father. I looked and I'm like, he's literally shaking stiff as like cold, like a rock. And his eyes is just open, staring like with no emotion, and his mouth is clamored shut. And so I take him and I put him on the floor, and my youngest son is still in the stroller. I take him and I put him on the floor, and I learned from the first seizure that if someone is having a seizure, you got to put him on his side. So I put him on his side, and I'm in the doctor's office in the waiting room yelling, help, help, please, somebody help me. There's a bunch of nurses and like probably 2 doctors in there that day, like, somebody please help. So one of the nurses run to the back, and one of the nurses came and held his head, and I was like calling 911 while they were calling 911, and I was like, please, please, is he breathing? Let me know that he's breathing. So the nurse told me that yes, he is breathing. And then the doctor runs, and the doctor asks the nurse to get a few things to, I guess, I don't know what they did, but they opened up his mouth, I guess, to let out something, or something happened. I couldn't concentrate because in the time frame I was calling my husband, I had Jace, so I wasn't able to really see what they did for him, but he was breathing because I just remember him self-soothing himself, and he was like while his eyes was closed. And so they took us to the hospital. My husband had already reached work and had to leave because I called him to tell him that Hunter had another seizure. And so he came home, he came to the hospital, and from there we had a conversation with that doctor. We told him like he's had this before, and it only happened because he had a fever. He's not prone to seizures. This is not something that's like him, you know. So he was like, yeah, it's common within children between a certain age to a certain age. And usually a fever can usually spike it to cause it to happen. It's nothing dangerous, it's nothing serious. Till this day, doctors don't know why that happened to children, but what we do know is that children at that age don't know how to regulate their body temperature, so the body just basically goes into like shock a little bit and restarts itself, so that's what causes the seizures. So once we heard that from the doctor, we heard it both times, but the second doctor clarified it a little bit more. And you know, while we were sitting there with Hunter in bed, my husband goes, something clicked into my husband as he was on his way to the hospital. He wasted no time. He rushed to the hospital, and he was like, doctor, could it be possible that we're not giving Hunter enough of a dosage and of medication, like, you know, Motrin and Tylenol? He was like, how much are you giving him? Then they looked at me, and I was like, well, I'm going based upon what I know was on the prescription package of the Motrin, and it said 5 ml. And he was like, you do understand that's not enough? And I'm like, but that's what the doctor told us. We never really got a clarification. Nobody ever told us that, you know, as the child gets bigger, you're supposed to up the dosage. You know, we're first-time parents, and this is our second child, but still we never really had to deal with this. So this is all the first-time thing for us. So he was like, yeah, you gotta bring up the dosage. Because when he walked in there, he was like, Hunter's 3? I was like, yeah, he's turning 4 tomorrow. He's like, you have a big 3-year-old, a big 3-4-year-old. Like, he's not a normal size. He looked like he's 6'7". So in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I know, like, my kids are gonna be fucking like giants. So yeah, he was like, no, Hunter's supposed to be getting 15 milliliters of Motrin and about 9 milliliters of Tylenol. And then he even checked for us Jace, because Jace was also sick, like I said, but he wasn't a patient, but he told us what was the correct dosage for JJ. So we realized the reason why every time we did the correct thing from the first seizure, why it wasn't correcting itself, is because we wasn't giving Hunter enough medication to help subside the fever. And for today is days after this had happened. His birthday passed 2 days ago, and I was really hard on myself for a very long time, because as a mom, if you feel helpless when you can't figure out ways to make your child feel better. And it's a scary thing to watch your child have a seizure. Like, it's gonna be a long time before I'm able to take that out of my head. It took a very long time for me to remove the memories that I had of my mom in her final days, but it's still there, you know what I'm saying? So I would never wish these type of things on anybody. Like, I would never want anyone to go through it. But my main purpose for this video is to raise awareness of febrile seizures. I want you guys, if your child has a fever, please, please, please don't let it spike up to 102, because 102 is kind of like where it triggers it, or like 101, and that's when the seizures can happen. As soon as your child has a seizure, pick them up and put them on their sides. Don't let them lay on their back, because they'll swallow either like their tongue or their saliva, you know, just put them on their side and call 911 immediately. You know, when you do get to the hospital, they're going to tell you, you know, this is normal, this is nothing to worry about, it's not connected to epilepsy, you don't have to worry about any of this. You know, this is just something that happens within children because they can't regulate their body temperature. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below if I've also helped you to have a better understanding of febrile I'm gonna write down below how it's spelled, but I used to call it febrile, but they said febrile, so I don't know if I'm saying this correctly or not. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I know as moms and dads, we love our kids and we would want nothing to happen to our kids. And I kept saying to myself, he's not taking him, I'm not letting him go just the day before his birthday. Like, I was not, nope. So I definitely want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for listening to me and letting me share my experience with something that did occur in my life that has changed a part of my life. Right now my son is doing great. He's perfect. I love him so much. He's awesome. He's healthy. He's not sick anymore. The fever did subside within a day. They told us to rotate the Motrin and the Tylenol, and that's what we did. And he's doing great. I love him so much. That's my twin. Like, I would never, he's my twin. He's my best friend, my best buddy, and I love him so, so, so much. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If this was really good for you guys, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on any new videos that I post in the upcoming lifetime. I want to thank you guys again. I'm always going to be saying thank you. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get notified on your phones when I do upload a new video. I also want you guys to stay beautiful, love yourself, and don't ever give up. You feel good?
Yeah.
You feeling better?
Yes.
Why are you picking your nose? I was explaining to everybody how sick you were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you feel good?
Yeah.
No fever? I think his eye is red because he was touching the cats, but I
love you guys. I feel better.
Say bye.
Bye.